The reservation at Coastal Prime was for 7:30, but I arrived 15 minutes early out of habit. My mother's 55th birthday dinner was hosted by my brother David, who had made sure everyone knew he was footing the bill at the city's most exclusive steakhouse. I stepped in wearing my simple black dress, the one I wore to both work meetings and family dinners because it was practical and comfortable. The hostess greeted me warmly. "Natalie, good to see you. Your usual table. I'm meeting my family tonight. Reservation under Harrison," I said. "Of course. They're already seated. Follow me." The large round table in the center of the dining room held them all. David in his expensive suit, Christine beside him in designer everything, my parents to his right, Emily and her husband rounding out the circle. One empty chair waited for me as always. "Natalie," my mother waved. "We wondered if you'd make it." "Made it work," I said, hugging her. "Happy birthday, Mom." David immediately ordered a bottle of Dom Perignon, inspecting the label with exaggerated care, as if price alone proved knowledge. Christine leaned in with a smile. "So Natalie," she said, "how's the restaurant business? Still serving tables at that Italian place?" David's laugh carried across the table. "Sis, you've got a business degree from Northwestern. Isn't it time to use it? Waiting tables at 30, such a waste." Everyone chuckled politely. Christine hid a smirk behind her glass. Emily smirked openly. Even my parents smiled indulgently, treating his cruelty as wit. "I'm not wasting anything," I said calmly. David leaned in, warming to his theme. "You could be doing something with your life. Carrying plates isn't a career. It's embarrassing." "Embarrassing for whom?" I asked. "For the family," Christine said. "When people ask what David's sister does, he can't exactly say, 'She's a waitress.' Doesn't fit the Harrison image." The Harrison image. My father had been a successful accountant. My mother had retired from real estate. David worked in tech sales. Comfortable, yes, but the idea we had a curated image was ridiculous. "I think what they mean," my father interjected, "is you have potential, Natalie. We hate to see it unused." "I'm using it," I said. "Carrying plates?" David scoffed. "That's not using your degree. That's giving up." "I didn't give up. I chose a different path," I said. Emily added, smirking, "A different path to poverty. Waitresses make like 30,000 a year with tips." "Honest work," I said. "It's beneath you," my mother said gently. "We love you but we worry. You're 30, you should be building a career, saving for retirement, thinking about your future, not living paycheck to paycheck." David swirled his champagne. "Actually, I have good news that might inspire you. I'm up for a major promotion, VP of Sales. 6 figures, company car, stock options, the whole package." "Congratulations," I said evenly. "Thanks. The thing is, they review your full profile. Leadership, network, family stability." Honestly, he hesitated. "Having a sister who waits tables doesn't exactly help my executive image." I set down my water glass. "Are you asking me to quit my job for your promotion?" "I'm asking you to consider something more respectable," he said. "Get a real job. I could even help, entry-level at my company. Receptionist, assistant, something professional." "How generous," I said. The server arrived, Maria, who had worked at Coastal Prime for 2 years. "Good evening, Miss Andrews," she said warmly. "Your usual or the menu?" "Filet, medium rare, roasted vegetables," I replied. "Excellent. And thank you again for the scholarship. My daughter starts culinary school next month because of you." The table fell silent. "Scholarship?" my mother asked. Before I could answer, a man in a suit approached our table. A distinguished, commanding presence, mid-50s. I recognized him immediately. Richard Chin, CEO of Tech Venture Solutions, one of the companies in my portfolio. "Excuse me," he said, addressing the table. "I'm looking for Ms. Andrews. I was told she'd be dining here tonight." "I'm Natalie Andrews," I said. His face lit up. "Miss Andrews." "Richard Chin, CEO of Tech Venture Solutions. Your venture capital firm is reviewing our expansion proposal. I know we have a meeting Monday, but when I saw you here I had to say hello. I'm David Harrison's supervisor." "Actually, small world," I replied with a smile. The table went silent. I smiled at my brother's boss. "Mr. Chin, lovely to see you. Yes, I've reviewed your Series B proposal. Very promising. We'll discuss specifics Monday. Wonderful, wonderful, he said. I'm excited about the possibility of Andrew's capital backing our expansion. Your reputation in the venture capital world is remarkable, 93% success rate. That's unheard of. I'm selective about my investments. I only back companies with solid fundamentals and ethical leadership, I said. Exactly why we want you as our lead investor, he said, glancing at David, whose face had gone pale. Harrison, I didn't realize your sister was the Natalie Andrews. The Natalie Andrews who owns Andrews Capital Partners. David who? I asked innocently. Oh, you mean my brother David? I smiled. Yes. Small world indeed. Richard Chin's professional mask slipped. Indeed. Well, I'll let you enjoy your family dinner, Miss Andrews. I'll see you Monday at 9 o'clock. He left and I felt every eye at the table bore into me. Venture capital firm? My father murmured. I pulled out my phone and opened my company's website, turning it toward the table. Andrews Capital Partners, founded 2019. $850 million under management. Portfolio of 47 companies across technology, healthcare, and consumer goods. My photo stared back. Natalie Andrews, founder and managing partner. That's you. Emily whispered. You own a venture capital firm? I founded it 6 years ago, I said. Started with $5 million from angel investors based on my track record with small businesses. Now we manage $850 million across 3 offices with 23 employees. But you work at a restaurant, Christine said, desperation in her voice, as if saying it made it true. I own 6 restaurants, I corrected. Bellin, the Italian place you're thinking of, I bought 8 years ago when it was failing, turned it around and used the profits to buy 5 more across the city. Total annual revenue, $12 million. David made a strangled sound. The restaurants were my first investments, I continued. I started as a server at Bellin when I was 22. Learned every position, then bought the business when the owner was ready to close. $50,000 saved, $100,000 small business loan. Within a year it was profitable. 2 years loan paid off. Then I expanded. I still work the floor sometimes. It keeps me connected to the business and the staff. That's why Maria knows me. I own Coastal Prime too. This restaurant. David said slowly. I bought it 3 years ago. Fits perfectly in my portfolio. Annual revenue, $8 million. Christine set down her glass, trembling. When I said I worked at a restaurant, I said, I meant it. I just also own them. You assumed I was a server because it fit your narrative of my life being a disappointment. Emily found her voice. The scholarship Maria mentioned? I fund 4 culinary scholarships annually through my restaurants, totaling about $120,000 a year. Supporting people who want to work in the industry is important to me. My father leaned forward. Andrews Capital Partners. You invest in other companies? Yes. 47 currently. Tech startups, healthcare innovations, consumer products. Series A and B funding, $5 to $20 million per company. 93% success rate because I only back founders with integrity and solid business models. Like David's company, Tech Venture Solutions, they're seeking $15 million in Series B funding. I'm the lead investor. David went from pale to gray. You're deciding whether to invest in my company, I said calm. Not just your company. My decision determines whether they can move forward or have to seek other funding, delaying growth by at least 6 months. David's voice was hoarse. You knew you were reviewing my company's proposal. I saw your name on the employee roster 3 weeks ago during due diligence, I said. I was curious to see if you'd mention it at family dinner. He didn't. You were too busy mocking my career choices to notice. I could see it in his eyes. His promotion had vanished overnight in his mind. The sister he had humiliated publicly held the future of his company in her hands. Natalie, he started. I didn't know. You didn't know because you never asked, I interrupted. 6 years of family dinners where I tried to talk about my work. 6 years of being dismissed, mocked, pitted against someone else. You were so convinced I was a failure that you never bothered to ask a single question. We thought we were helping, my mother said weakly as she did every week, encouraging me to do more with my life. I have done more with my life, I said. I built a restaurant empire from a single failing business. I founded a venture capital firm that manages nearly $1 billion. I employ hundreds of people across my companies. I fund scholarships, mentor young entrepreneurs, serve on 3 nonprofit boards. What exactly do you think I should be doing instead? The table went silent. The VP promotion, David said quietly. Richard mentioned it was contingent on leadership and professional judgment. I said. If you think tonight will affect my investment decision, it won't. What happens between us is family business. What happens with tech venture is separate. I make business decisions based on business factors, not personal grudges. Relief washed over his face. But I continued. I will be watching how you conduct yourself professionally over the next few months. Richard mentioned you're up for VP of Sales, a leadership role. Leaders need integrity, humility, and the ability to recognize value in unexpected places. If you can't see the value in your own sister, how will you recognize opportunity in the market? That's not fair, Christine protested. Fair. I looked at her. What part of tonight was fair? Mocking my career. Calling my education wasted. Suggesting I'm an embarrassment to the family. All while sitting in a restaurant I own, drinking champagne I essentially pay for. Fair. She looked down at her plate. Here's what's going to happen, I said. I will make my investment decision on tech venture purely based on their proposal and Richard's leadership. David's behavior is irrelevant. That's professional. But I am done with these family dinners where I am treated like a charity case. I am successful, financially stable, and happy. If you can't respect that, we don't need these gatherings anymore. Natalie, no, my mother said, tears forming. We love you. We're proud of you. We just didn't know. You didn't know because you didn't care to know, I said. There's a difference. I tried to tell you. You didn't listen. My father cleared his throat. Can we start over? Learn about your businesses, your work, your life. That depends, I said. Can you stop assuming success looks like David's job? Can you value the work I do even though it doesn't fit your image of what I should be doing? They nodded, chastened. Yes, I said. We can start over. But it begins with respect. Not pity. Not concern. Not attempts to fix me. Respect. The server arrived with our meals. As she set down my fillet, she smiled. Ms. Andrews, the kitchen wanted you to know they're trying out the new seasonal menu you approved. Chef asks if you'd like to sample a few dishes. Tell him yes, I said. After she left, David spoke quietly. The investment decision. When will you know? One day, I said. Richard's proposal is strong. The technology is solid. The market opportunity is real. If he and his leadership team, including his VP of Sales, demonstrate judgment and character, I'll likely approve the investment and your promotion. That's between you and Richard. But if I get it, he asked. Remember this moment, I said. Success comes in many forms. Remember that the people serving you might own the restaurant. Remember that assumptions blind you to opportunity. I will, he said quietly. We ate in relative silence. The celebration mood was gone, replaced by a quiet, uneasy respect. By dessert, my mother had started asking real questions. About my restaurants, my investment strategy, my portfolio companies. For the first time in 6 years I spoke about my work and people actually listened. Monday morning I met with Richard Chin and the tech venture team. Their presentation was excellent. Numbers solid, expansion plan well researched. I'm approving the investment, I said. Andrews Capital will lead the Series B round with $15 million. I have 2 conditions. Of course, Richard said. What are they? First, I want a board seat. Standard for lead investors. Absolutely. Second, I want quarterly reviews of your leadership team's performance. Not just financial metrics but cultural health, employee satisfaction, ethical decision-making, leadership development. I invest in companies that build sustainable cultures. Done, Richard said. In fact, that aligns perfectly with our values. After the meeting, Richard walked me to the elevator. Your brother never mentioned you were the Natalie Andrews. He didn't know, I said. We had a misunderstanding about what I do for a living. Well, for what it's worth, he continued, David's a good salesperson, aggressive, ambitious. But he needs work on humility and judgment. That's why I'm hesitating on the VP promotion. Wise decision, I said. Give him time to develop those qualities. If he can learn humility, he'll be a better leader for it. Agreed. Thank you, Miss Andrews. Welcome to the tech venture family. I shook his hand and left, heading back to Bella for the lunch shift. I still loved working the floor, talking to customers, being part of the restaurant that had started everything. Because success isn't about titles or appearances. It's about building something real, treating people well, and staying true to yourself, even when your family thinks you're just a waitress.